It's time for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, the show that helps you be prepared to care for your family regardless of the circumstances that may come your way. Now, here's your host for today, Mark Lamb.
Well, we're back in the studio with Glenn, and we were talking before we opened the mics about how we've been struggling with this heat that we've had here in the last couple of weeks, and just trying to stay hydrated and not shut down.
Right. It'll sneak up on you, and all of a sudden you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Most people don't drink enough water anyway.
Sure.
And this kind of heat will just take it right out of you. And older people like me, you can't afford to have too many hiccups.
Right. Sure.
So everybody that's out there, whether you're working in your garden or you're working for your job, I work outside for mine. I was just told you I had to sit down.
Yeah.
First time in probably 10 years, I went, I'm exhausted.
And
it was only like 2:00.
Yeah.
At 100 degrees, but I was just going too hard, too fast, and it just wiped me right out. And I paid for it the next day.
Sure.
You don't get over it. I'll get a good night's sleep and be okay. That ain't the way it works. I was real close to heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
So, everything out there is being affected by this kind of heat, and it's not going to get any better for a while.
Right. Yeah.
This El Nino thing, and that's what's going to lead into talking about water today. I talk about it a lot. For the past 6 years, I've talked about water. But I'm telling you, El Nino is worse than they've ever seen, and it's not done.
Right.
This week, it'll start to ease up some, supposedly, but then it's going out west. Well, all this heat it is taxing our power systems and communications. People don't realize what it takes for you to be able to use your phone, satellites and all that kind of stuff, and it brings it down to a central node, and
Right.
all these are computer driven and air conditioned. Well, that's a heck of a load on a system that was not ready for this kind of heat, sustained heat. 2-3 days, things heat up, then they cool back down. Same with the power lines, they heat up and cool back down. Generation, they have to kick on more generators, which probably haven't been on in years.
Yeah.
There's a redundancy in the generation world. They're running it wide open.
Can we talk about server rooms for just a second? Because I've been in some businesses that had big computer systems, and I had the chance to go into the server room, which the temperature in there is 70 or whatever,
Right.
and because that stuff tends to run hot. With that in mind, let's talk about 1 million square feet building full of servers. What are we talking about, Glenn, to keep a building like that at the proper temperatures? You're talking about straining the system.
Yeah, huge amount of electrical energy to air condition. It takes a lot to air condition a room, and I don't think our grid can handle what they want to build. I don't think that they are going to build to the standards that they want. They're going to go, well, this system should handle it, because they've never seen it before.
Right. This is all new. You're right.
Right. So the air conditioner guy, and these people are smart engineers,
Sure.
and they go, well, we'll run this water through, blah, blah, blah. Well, they've never done this before. Are they going to get it right? I don't know. But it's going to take a lot of energy either way.
You said something about water, and you reminded me of a scene in one of the Mission Impossible movies. I'm sorry, but this is how my brain works. But in between the servers were like channels of water. And it I don't know if that's just a Hollywood thing. I knew, I was in a building that was built in the 1920s that they used, and it was in South Florida. They used water and chill systems,
right? Evaporative cooling
to keep things cold. That's old technology. Could some of that be brought into the existing day to keep these servers cool?
That's exactly what they're doing.
It is, okay.
The best type of liquid used for refrigeration is ammonia. Very large systems still use ammonia, but you can't have it around people. You can't have it in a hospital or something like that. Because ammonia will kill you, as a gas. It will kill you. So water is not the best for sure, but it's definitely cheap to do it with R11 or R134. You hear all these numbers about the freons and that kind of stuff.
So you're chilling. You're doing the opposite of what some of the old heating systems here in our area, where they're running water through heating units, the radiators,
exchangers.
So it's the opposite. You're cooling the water down and running it through.
Right. What they're doing is taking the water, putting it outside, running it through a set of fins exposed to the air with fans blowing on it, which causes evaporation. When something evaporates like that, it takes the heat with it. But it takes lots of water to do that because you're losing water through the air.
Evaporation. Okay.
I just seen something. There's a outbreak of Legionnaire's disease tied directly to air-cooled water evaporators.
Wow.
Because it's a perfect environment for all kinds of bacteria to grow.
Right.
Warm, moist, humid air.
That's why they talked about jacuzzi tubs.
Yes. They had that at the local, I don't want to call them out, but the local hardware store or lumberyard. They don't do that anymore because right here in Virginia, we had a case of Legionnaire.
I remember.
Right back to the displays for the hot tubs. Because it's a perfect environment for bacteria and things to grow in. And so their plan is to use all these evaporators to help cool things down. Well, okay, you must maintenance them. You must clean them. You must do all that. They're building so fast, and I don't know how that's all going to work. I don't know if our energy is going to sustain us. And if these people have big money, I mean, big money. And if they want the power, they're going to take the power. Now, if they have to shut down something else to get it, they may do that. They all,
even Bill Gates changed his view on some of this climate change stuff because of the AI stuff that he's part of.
Yeah, he's going, okay, if I back climate change, I'm going to lose the AI stuff, and that's where the money's at the moment. And it's chasing the dollar.
Yeah.
So I hope it all works out. I don't think it will. A lot of communities are really pushing back against these things, especially when you talk about taking their water.
Yeah.
Well, they can look out in their garden and say things are kind of dry
right now,
and now they want our water, and I like water.
Right.
Several weeks ago I talked about our drought. And you might want to check your wells and make sure that you're going to have plenty of water for your family. And so I did. So I want to. The gist of this is, I've checked my water table, and I'm a water nut, so I keep an eye on it because it's real important to me, and to my garden, and to the livestock. But to water your garden over and over again as the water table's dropping naturally during the summer like it always does, but it only may drop 15 to 20 feet in my well during the summer. That's the difference. It's down 40 feet.
Wow.
Now, I have 125 feet of standing water, so it's not critical yet, but it's continually dropping. It's not hit a static level. That kind of worries me.
Right.
I slowed back on watering my garden, and I don't do some big irrigation water spraying across the air. That's not how I water my gardens. I use a drip irrigation system with mulch, which doesn't allow the evaporation to. So I'm saving 90% of my irrigation water just by my technique. Just drip irrigation
right
directly at the plants with a mulch layer on top, keeps the evaporation. So what water I do put out stays in the ground where the plants need it. Now, if you're out there spraying water across the air, which is not the best method, you're kind of shotgunning it, and it takes, 10 times as much water.
Yeah.
Not a good approach. So what do you do about that? You either cut back on the way you do it, or you find some other method. Well, if it would rain once in a while, you could capture some, you know.
Sure.
And there's all kinds of ways you can hook right into your downspout. You just have your local handyman cut a section out, put these little adapters in, and it captures that water coming down the downspout, puts it in a barrel. All those are kind of labor intensive, unless you're handy, and you can do it yourself. But it ain't rained, and we're not getting any good rains here. We had, thankfully, it was last week or the week before, had a little bit of rain, and that helped my garden a lot. I was happy to see it.
Yeah.
But our farmland across the Midwest, the grain belt, some of them are flooded out, and others are bone dry. It's just the craziest year you've ever
Both
seen.
extremes, yeah.
Yeah, and both of them are bad for our production of our food system. So it kind of worries me a little bit, and right now, they're talking about this El Nino getting worse all the time. They're going, wow, this is even worse than we thought. Well, that's creating some pretty major storms that coming out of all this energy. We talked about this before. You add that much energy to an ocean, it's going to give up that energy at some point in the form of storms. And these storms are getting massive. They're tracking one out in the western part of the Pacific right now that is already a Category 5.
Oh, wow. Holy
That
cow.
ain't good.
No, shoot, no.
So being prepared, folks, is what I hope to accomplish today. And one of the things is your water. You can do it without a lot of things, and I've said it 100 times. But water ain't one of them. In fact, I'd probably start storing some up. I'm saying a lot. If we have some major outages, and there's a whole nother thing with the sun being as hot as it is, and that's these CMEs that are coming off of it, coronal mass ejections, solar flares. We just had 2 X-class flares. People talk, it made these auroras, and they were beautiful. You better realize what that meant. Our grid is taxed. It's overheated. It's holding on by the skin of its teeth. And if we get a CME, a solar flare, that is just good enough to kill it, kill our grid. It wouldn't take much. It's vulnerable. It's at a weakened point, and it can't handle much more. Well, you may be out of power for 4 or 5 days if a transformer blows or a section of the grid is taken down. They can isolate that and go around it, but whoever's in that area, you're in trouble because they can't fix it fast enough because they don't have hundreds of transformers just sitting around waiting.
No, I've heard that
you may be out of power for weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say it can take weeks to get a transformer.
Right.
I've heard that in the past.
Okay, well, can you handle that? Can you handle being out of water for weeks?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Because your neighbor's not going to have it either unless he is some super prepper that has a alternative to pump water
Right.
out of his well. A, you got to have the well. B, the water better be there. And C, you have to have some type of energy to pump it out.
Right.
Now, whether that energy is your arms with a big bison pump and, pumping away. But if nobody has water and you do, you're going to be popular.
Right.
Maybe too popular.
Right.
So let's talk about that. First line of defense is just having enough water as a buffer. When I say enough water, a gallon a day per person, do the math. So a couple 55-gallon drums, treated with a little non-detergent bleach. We'll keep it. I've got a barrel right now that was done last June, and we tested it, put it under the microscope, clean as a pin, still tastes good. But it's time to change it out anyway.
It's a metal barrel.
No, it's a plastic.
Okay.
HDPE, high density polyethylene. It's a food grade barrel.
Okay.
I suggest that's what you get anytime you're dealing with food or water. HDPE, it'll say it right on the bottom.
Okay.
That's what Tupperware is made out of.
Right.
All right, so as a buffer, good storage of water. I'm not crazy about buying water at the store because of the plastic bottles that comes in. They're not made to store water. They're made for you to buy it, drink it, and throw it away.
Right.
So all these PFOBs and things, I don't want to get into all that, but it's just not a good method. It is not. It's not fit for storage.
Right.
Gallon jugs, I don't care what they are. Turn them up. Look for that HDPE. If it says that, you make sure they're good and clean and clean them out and treat them a little bit, whatever volume you have. There's a little formula. A quarter cup will do 55-gallon drum, 12 drops per gallon in a gallon of water. Everything in between, you do the math. So that'll give you enough time to make sure that you have a secondary source for water. At that point, it's going to be a scramble for all good water. You're not going to be using that barrel of good, clean drinking water to flush your toilets. You could use that rainwater, no problem. You could use your rainwater to wash your dishes in, no problem. Rinse them in good, clean water, or your rainwater that has been treated with some bleach so you kill any kind of little floaties in there. Stream and creek water, that's when it starts to get shady, Nick, because now you have animals that are drinking and urinating in the water. Right. Even little mice come to the creek and drink, and that's where the problems start happening. So that kind of water is okay to flush your toilets,
right?
Unless you want to filter all that stuff, I wouldn't recommend it for washing your dishes.
Okay.
So that's what we're talking about here. But for good, clean drinking water out of your well, if you've ever had your well tested, and I recommend that pretty highly, because urban sprawl, every time they put in a septic system, that water from that septic system is going into the ground. Now, the ground has a great tendency to filter that water, and the microbes and natural microbes in the ground, they tend to clean it all up, and it goes through limestones, but not always.
Right.
So is there some contamination in your well water? You don't know unless you've had it tested. Sometimes it's just a coliform that it gets into the stream from surface water, from a major rain event. Leaks down the side of your well pump and gets into your water and forms a coliform in there, and they start to multiply. Well, you can dump a quart of bleach in there and kill that. Your water's going to be kind of bleach tasting. You run it out, flush it out, and everything's okay. But you got to have it tested to know whether there's any floaties in there or something swimming in there. So I suggest you at least do that, once every 2 years. If you got a lot of building going up around you, I do it every year just to make sure there's nothing changed. So back to our well. If you can afford these things, I'd advise you to get them. You can get a solar pump that will charge a battery that'll run that pump. Now, these things are not cheap. Bison, I mentioned that before, they're probably top of the line.
Okay.
Pretty dependable. All stainless steel parts, last a long time. Hand pumps, Bison also makes those. They're also stainless steel, very quality made, but you're looking at about $2,000. And unless you're handy, unless you can do all the things that a plumber would do when you call him out there, it's going to cost you. Yeah, what's it going to cost you without water? Yeah, okay.
True.
You're going to buy water? Well, that won't happen either because there's not going to be any water to drink because power may go out. It's hard to tell. The threats are there, so this is up to you how you want to make it through what's happening around us. This drought situation, the excessive heat, the El Nino, politicians.
They may be the worst.
You know, it's just, yeah. So I just want you to be able to have water, so you don't have to worry about that part because it is so critical. I mean, we talk about food, water, shelter. You know, the three primary things that you must have. The shelter part, just getting out of the heat. Usually, you can go sit in the shade and cool off. Well, the shade is now 100 degrees also, and it's just hard to cool off. That's why that shelter part. You go and hit the AC and go, oh, man, I'm so thankful for the AC. That only works if the power's running. So is there a backup plan for that? You know, most people that have a backup generator, it doesn't run the entire house. It does critical things,
right.
You know, your freezer, your
Right.
pump, water pump. ACs, like I told you before earlier in the show, takes a lot of energy. You'd have to have a very big generator to run your air conditioner.
Right.
Because, you know, 30 amps for the compressor, 30 amps for the fan, you know, 60 amps, that's a lot for a generator. You can get it, but you're going to pay for that generator. That's a big generator. So to have a primary essential items, food, shelter, water. Always start with water, food, shelter. I just said that backwards, but I'm getting in the habit of saying that the correct way because that's the order that you're going to need them. Water. So we talked about electric pumps, whether your generator will handle the pump that you have. Most of them are 240 volts. Little small generators, portable generators, little Honda 3.5 horsepower. It may only do 120. Most of them have an outlet for 220, but you got to make sure that matches up. So you may need a guy like me to come out and say, yep, that'll work. Because you don't want to burn up a generator or burn up your well pump. Now you're in trouble on both ends. You can get 12-volt pumps to drop in your well. Now, they're not going to pump as fast. Depending on how deep that well is how much that pump is going to cost you and how much battery backup you need to pump that water. And a solar panel to recharge the battery.
Right.
You can see how all this one is depending on the other.
Sure.
Regardless of what you think, it's going to take energy
Sure.
to get that water out of the ground. So you can start looking these things up, and I've mentioned Bison, and there's several other ones. Lehman's is the next one I can think of. Lehman's is a prepper Amish kind of store that you can order all this stuff from.
Okay.
And there's thankfully, they realized that not only is this for the Amish community, but it's for the English community, that's us, that are preparing for crap happening. And they go, well, we can make money at that, and that's what they've done. So they've actually put out a lot of good information with the product that they're advertising. So that's very good. There's all kinds of things online you can look and to decide what you want to buy. There's one called FlowJack. That is a hand-operated one. Works on little bypass valves that open and close, like the one you'd see on Little House on the Prairie.
Okay,
where the guy's got it in his kitchen, big iron iron handle on it, and they're pumping it. It takes about 6 pumps to get it going. And
Right.
that's a workout.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you send the kids for water, because he's going to be out there a while
For a
just
while,
to get a
yep.
bucket of water. But they do work. And just about all of these systems that you can buy do not come with all the extra pipe. They give you the well pump itself down in the bottom, whether it's the flow jack that has a simple set of valves that open close, or an electric pump. They give you that part, and then they give you the top part, which is the handles that you see above ground. So they give you the above ground and below ground and nothing in between, which is just 2 sets of pipes, an inner and an outer pipe, and that's how these things work. So if you get the idea, I need one of these, or I should have one of these, or it'd be a darn good idea to have one of these, whatever that choice is, will it go down in my well? Or do I have to pull my well pump out of the way and then put this new one in?
Right.
But you got to be prepared for that. You got to be ready for that. Don't think you're going to call a plumber to come do it, because there's going to be like 1 million calls on his phone.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So a little preparation is what I'm getting at here. Is it going to get that bad? I don't know. Certainly looks bad. The probabilities are there. The heat is there. The drought is there. All the above is there. So,
sure.
What do you think? What's your opinion of your situation? I can't tell you that. I can tell what mine is, and I go, yep, going to do it. Already taken care of. I took care of it 7 years ago. So, and I'm not bragging on that. I just started looking around going, what if?
Sure.
And what are the odds? What is the probability of this happening? Apparently, I guess pretty good, because we're real close to it now. So, but there's no reason to panic. But there is reason to be motivated.
Sure.
So we went to the Bison pump, Lehman's, flow jack. That pipe I told you that's in between, they refer to that as a stand pipe. So what's the cost? I mean, they could be $500 to about $1,800 for just that system, and probably another $200 to $400 depending on how deep your well is. Plumbers are going to charge you about $100 to $150 an hour. Plumber used to be the, kind of the low man on the totem pole out in the construction world. He ain't that no more.
Right.
He's
You better
pretty
cozy
up there.
up to one, huh?
Yeah, you better cozy up to one, even if he doesn't pull his pants up all the time. So he's going to come out for initial site visit, and he's going to charge you for that. Usually about an hour or two, because he's got to pull your well cap off, do stuff. He's going to do his job. If he's a good plumber, he's going to do his job. So you're going to have to pay for that, and that's about 5 to 6 hours to put one of these things in. And he'll probably have a helper or two, because, dropping down 200 feet of standpipe is not light, and you don't want to drop it, so you have to have all the right equipment and stuff that you and I do not have. You ever seen them pull a well? Now, if you're pulling a 100-foot well, that's one thing. 2 guys can grab and pull water. The pipe is full of water. Water's heavy.
Yeah.
So you're lifting up about 100, 120 pounds straight up for 100 and some feet. Wow. Hand over hand. About halfway through, you go, wow, I need to take a break here. Well, you can't just turn it loose. You have to have some way to hold that pipe while you take a break. Now, that's either your buddy holding the pipe or the clamp type. But well drillers have a truck that do it, and it's on a big reel, and they just hook that thing up and all these little specialty clamps, and they just start reeling it in. Or they have a pulley system. I've pulled a bunch of wells, and it is just work.
Yeah.
So whatever that plumber charges you, he's going to work for it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it is not an easy thing. If you got a bunch of buddies that are pretty handy, you all could get together and do it and save yourself a ton of money. Just make sure that one of them buddies knows what the heck he's doing.
Right.
Yeah, because if you drop that, you're done. Recapturing your pipe once you drop it is almost a miracle. Now, there's the well companies have ways to get them, and I could probably get one if I had enough attempts at it, but it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So that's why I say make sure you got one of them buddies that knows exactly what to do. So that's where we're at. We're trying to keep you from losing what water you do have or what resources you have, and don't screw it up.
Right.
All right, so we talked about the types of pumps, the hand pump, the siphon pump, flow jacks, all those ones. You can look them up. There's so much information on this stuff now. You decide what you need, but get on it, folks. If we lose grid, it'd be really bad.
Yeah.
And you need a way to keep your family watered, food, and sheltered. So you might want to step it up. I don't see people doing that. I think they're just so inundated with bad news and threats that they're just overwhelmed. And I think a lot of people are giving up. I just can't do it. I just can't do it no more.
Well, my mentor says, how do you eat an elephant? He reminds me, one bite at a time.
Right. Well,
You just take a little bit, do it. Take a little bit more and do it.
It wears you down, though, just like this heat. It just wears you down. But what choice do you have?
Right.
What choice do you have? You either give up or you reach down and be the man of that house, or the leader of that house. You women are just as tough as men ever were, and get this done. It's going to take effort, maybe some resources, some capital, whatever it is. But the peace of mind that you'll get of always having water will be phenomenal. I can remember that feeling, saying, wow, no water. What would happen with no water? And probably a year later, my pump failed, and I found out how critical that was right quick.
Wow.
But okay, went and changed my well pump out, and the wire and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, well, that was a test, But it was probably like a 2-3 day adventure because I had to go get a pump and blah blah blah. Some pumps, mine's a little deeper, so it took a bigger pump, and not everybody carries them. So without water, my wife was like, we're out of water.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Well,
I got it, honey. I'm off to the store.
Yeah, there you go. Well, as we, mentioned about the Smith Mountain Lake, being down and those kinds of things. And I guess that lake is spring fed somewhat, right?
Yes.
I would guess.
Yes. There's lots of springs in that area, yes. And it's more than springs. There's a couple of creeks and things there. But, yeah, Claytor Lake is the same way up in the Pulaski area. And they're all down.
Yeah.
They've been running generators, running extra generators to keep up with the demand.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
When they open those gates and let the water through, I mean, it's like pulling the plug on the bathtub.
Sure.
The water goes somewhere out the bottom, and if water's not coming in as fast as it's going out, it goes down.
Yeah.
My little pond, it's barely trickling. I got an overflow, and I'm watching it every day. It's barely overflowing, but it is overflowing.
Yeah.
I've gone through a couple droughted summers, for 3-4 weeks, and it'll slow down, but it's never stopped. This year looks real close. That ain't good.
Yeah.
So water's becoming an issue, and I've heard several people about their gardens. Just, why is my squash turning white, or why is my cucumbers turning white? That's sunburnt. Lack of water and sunburnt, and that's the plant just going, okay, we're stopping fruit production and going to survival mode.
So survival mode, it literally changes color, huh?
Yeah, they just, instead of flooding the fruit with lots of water to keep it growing, all that, it just cuts it off. So the skin burns.
Oh, okay.
And that's what's happening to a lot of gardens. We're getting a lot of sunburn on them, where they're shutting down. Some plants are a little more susceptible than others, and if you want to safeguard against that, you need to block the sun somehow, or at least slow it down, filter it.
Okay.
We bought this cloth. You see these little hoops over
Yes,
gardens
yes.
and things. Sometimes it's for frost, but it's a mesh, and you can put it over, and that kind of shades the plant and help maintain its moisture. But if you bring it down too tight, then you just created a greenhouse and cook it. Man, it's like a circus. Growing a garden is like a circus, man. There's always some catastrophe and something going wild over here, and something needs water over here.
Right.
So it's not the easiest thing. You can look how to shade your plants. What was that mafia movie? Anyway, one of the movies from this, I think it was around the 70s. It showed Don Corleone in
Godfather. Yeah.
Godfather. Showed the Godfather in Sicily, and he had tomatoes in his backyard, but he had this muslin cloth strung over them. And I was thinking, wow, whoever wrote that into that script actually knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
You go, I don't know whose garden that really is, but
right.
Somebody knows what they're doing, because it got hot over there. And that's how you keep your tomatoes from sunburning, or your cucumbers, either one. You may need to do that this year.
So just this last week, my wife and I were pruning. I said we need to prune we have a raspberry and a blackberry bush growing together, and you could see the dark branches. And I said, honey, I said we need to just cut those off, because it's drawing nutrition from the root, and it's depriving the ones that are still thriving, because we've never really pruned midway through the summer like this.
Right.
But we cut off a bunch of stuff, and I'm hoping and praying the rest of it will pick up the pace now. Well, it's a big one too. It's a big bush.
All these plants that you're growing in your garden, if they're trying to feed and water all this fruit, especially tomatoes, it's a taxing thing on them if there's not enough water there.
Right.
So removing some of the fruit from the plant, and I'd go after the ones that look ugly. You got one over the sides, got that little double wrinkle that makes it look like a little kid's butt. And you just pull that off, because it's not going to put a nice produced tomato for you.
Right.
Cucumbers has got that funky little curl that goes out, and they're kind of bitter. Just pull them off. And if it continues on, you may pull off a bunch to save the plant, because it'll grow, clear up into October, as long as it don't cook out and die trying to survive.
Right.
So trimming up some of that stuff where it doesn't lose as much moisture or tax the plant, because plants will crap out. They just give up. Some plants just naturally go through a cycle. They go, okay, this is the time of year I put out seeds, and I'm not doing nothing afterwards. Squash is one of them. It has about 90 days, and then it just goes, okay, I'm done. But you can replant those. Fall, I talk about fall gardens. Fall gardening is actually started planting in August. You can start all your fall stuff in August, And as long as it don't get cooked when it first comes up, you know, by fall, you know, you ought to have a nice 6-inch plant, and the temperature's cooling down, and maybe it's got a few rains by then. So off you go again for a second garden.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the amount of bugs. That's what I like about them. For squash, I don't even plant squash in the spring no more. Squash bugs just come in and mess everything up. So I just go, okay, I'm just going to outsmart you. I'll wait till the egg laying season's done and you've all had your party under the leaves.
Right.
I just plant them in the fall. And there's a lot of things like that. You know, a lot of the cold crops we talk about all the time are planted for fall. And you usually get a better crop. I've always got a better crop of green beans in the fall.
Okay.
With the exception of this year. I got them in early. I thought it was going to frost them out, but it didn't. And, man, I got green beans out the wazoo. It's because they like a little heat. And they like that warm temperature, warm soils, man, and they went crazy. Now, they ain't going to last long.
Right.
I've done picked them twice already. They're probably not going to make a third picking because you kind of beat your plants up when you pick like that. But that's a good thing about your tomatoes, too. Rather than pulling on your tomatoes, cut the tomato off. The little cut that you do will seal up better than ripping the vine.
Okay, yeah, because of the strands and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so that's just
Makes
a little
sense.
hint on about it, especially on your green beans. You know, don't beat your green beans up. You know, there's an art to picking beans. I don't care what anybody says. You know, I don't like to grab a handful and rip them up because it beats the plants up too much. But yeah, I don't have 2 hours to tell you how to pick green beans. You go, this guy's an idiot. He don't know what he's talking about. But, you know, I spend all that time working my garden. I don't want to beat up my green beans. I want to get as much out of them as I possibly can.
Sure.
And I don't pull up my green beans. I cut them off. You know why? Because green beans fix nitrogen into the soil with their root systems. I want that nitrogen to stay in the soil.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So I cut the tops off, throw that to the pigs, and leave that and just replant again. That's a good method. Corn the same way. If you've ever tried to pull up a healthy corn stalk, man, it's like pulling up a tree stump. So I just cut them off and plant right beside them and keep getting it. The microbes will eventually eat it all up anyway. So that's just one thing you can do as your garden matures this year. You can just go right into a fall garden without doing a whole bunch of soil disturbing.
Yeah.
You know, always try to keep something growing in your garden. You know, never leave bare soils if you can help it. But that's about it.
A little bonus there at the end.
Yeah, a little bonus for the fall gardening. We'll get in more of that later.
Okay. Well, Glenn, thank you.
Thank you.
Join us again next week for Sustainable Living with Glenn Boblitz, helping you be prepared and not scared. This podcast drops every Friday anywhere you get your podcast.